Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lewis Speaks 2021, and today I want to talk to you all about family estrangement. I've always asked myself, why is it that some families just become estranged over time? They stop speaking with one another, they stop communicating, they stop interacting with one another. And I realize that the primary reason why some families become estranged from one another is due to lack of respect for an individual's journey. A lot of families do not respect the person that someone is growing into. They lack respect for a person's boundaries. A person clearly communicates their boundaries, and there is just no respect whatsoever. There's constant boundary violations despite numerous attempts to inform and just express how deeply something is bothering a person. So there's just no respect for a person's boundaries. As I mentioned before, there's just no respect for a person's journey. Their path is constantly poo-pooed on. There's no just mutual respect for someone's process, and that's essential. You may not always like what someone does or who they are, but you have to respect their right to journey down their path. And oftentimes, there are some family members who don't have any respect whatsoever for someone's journey in life. If you're not doing what they want you to do and living how they want you to live, how they want you to live, when they want you to live, they just cut you off. They disassociate themselves from you. And while everybody has the right to determine how they want their lives to be, when it comes to family, I think that people really need to have some respect for a person's process. And sometimes in dire situations, you definitely have to disconnect from some people. When there's issues of abuse, when there's issues of constant disrespect, when there's issues of constant boundary violations, you definitely have to disconnect. But when people are going through their journey, trying to figure themselves out, trying to find their own way, trying to live a different life that may not agree with your life, it's ridiculous to not have respect for their process. Everybody's life looks very different. And with some family members, they want you to be what they want you to be. They have no respect for who you are as a person and for what you need in order to come full circle in this world. We're all trying to come full circle. And I realize that, in my personal experience, I've had family members that have disconnected and distanced themselves from me because of how I've chosen to live my life. And it didn't fit with their version and with their expectations. And so they just quickly just disassociated from me. And quite frankly, I know that there are some elements in my life that need work. We're all a work in progress. I've been fighting things that people have no idea that I've been fighting. But that doesn't mean that someone should just throw you away. And with certain family members in my life, they've just thrown me away because I don't fit their mold or how they think I should be living or speaking or acting. And I realize that's really their issue. They're projecting their own insecurities, they're projecting their own fears onto their family. And I think, quite frankly, that's a major reason why a lot of families become estranged. Like I mentioned, the lack of respect for that person's journey. If you want to keep your family solid, if you want to keep them in your life and build a strong family unit, you have got to make room for other people's journey. And you have got to respect their right to travel down their journey. Now, you may not always agree. As I mentioned before, you may not always agree with what they're doing and how their process works, but you have to respect their right to do it. And if it's something that is harmful, if it's something that is dangerous, if it's something that can affect you negatively, you definitely have to keep your distance, a loving distance. But at the same time, I feel like you just don't throw them away. You hold out hope. You continue to check in on them from time to time. You don't just banish them from your life and just disown them. That's why I just don't understand how some families can disown their children. For their children not living according to their beliefs or lifestyle. This like I said, there are instances when you have to disconnect from a family member. Let me just make that very clear. When there's issues of abuse, chronic disrespect, numerous boundary violations, definitely. But when a family member is not living how you feel they should live, when they're not doing what you want them to do or what you feel they should be doing, that right there is controlling. That right there in and of itself is abusive. It's someone who is rigid, trying to maintain control over another family member. And really, it speaks to their own fears and their own insecurities, with their own belief systems. Because my thing is this: if you're so solid in your belief systems, if you're so solid in what you're doing and you feel that what you're doing is so right, why are you concerned with trying to control my life? It's because, quite frankly, there's some insecurities there, And I think a lot of times people try to project their own feelings of being out of control onto other people. They feel like their lives are so out of control and their lives are so miserable. So by controlling someone else, they're able to get some form of order and feel powerful and somewhat superior. And once again, it's just a projection. It's a projection of their own issues. But once again, this is your family. This is not just some person off the street. These are people that you grew up with. And while you definitely have to maintain a safe distance from toxic behaviors, definitely. I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying let family walk all over you, because sometimes, as I mentioned before and keep mentioning, you have to disconnect from certain family members that have made it very clear that they have no interest in making sure that you're emotionally safe and making sure that you are respected and kept safe and cared for. You definitely have to maintain that distance. Like I said, issues of abuse, chronic disrespect. But like I said, it's just a shame in this day and age that we live. A lot of families are just breaking up. They're just disconnecting from one another, and the only time they see each other is when one of the members are in a box at a funeral, when they're dead or when they're sick in the hospital. But why does it take all these things for families to get together? Why does it take something so dire as death and sickness and illness for families to get together? It just baffled me during COVID-19 how many families just became estranged. This may very well be the last time that you see your family member. This may very well be the last time that you lay eyes on them, that you speak with them, that you hear their voice, and you can just disavow knowledge to them so easily. That never did set right with me. It never did. To me, it's just a lack of loyalty, a lack of just genuine concern, and a lack of love. When you look at the scriptures, in 1 Corinthians 13, it's just, and I believe it's 2 Corinthians 13, but it says, what love is. Love believes all things, hopes all things. Love never fails. It endures all things. And what that is, basically, it's not enduring abuse, but enduring difficult times. You don't just throw your family, you don't throw them away because they don't look like or act like or sound like what you want them to look, act, and sound like. It makes no sense. And the thing about it is, if you leave no room and no space for another person's transformation, for another person's growth, for another person's process, you're going to end up losing that person. That person is definitely going to be lost to you. Because if you make no room for this person, they'll question where they fit into your life. They'll wonder, where do I belong? Does this person even care about me? Has this person ever cared about me? Have they ever really saw who I was? You know, these are the questions I ask myself. Did the person see who I was? Did they really appreciate me for who I am? Or did they only appreciate me because I'm a good listener to their problems? Or because I am what? Considerate? Or because I service them in some way? You know, love really is seeing into another person and seeing who they are and not what they can do for you. That's love. And so many families lack that love. The moment you stop serving them, they're ready to just disown you, throw you away like you're garbage. And that right there is cold. That's very cold. So once again, to recap, why do families become estranged with one another over time? Because the lack of respect for another person's journey. If you want your family to last and be tight, you have to respect their journey. You have to respect their process. You have to respect their right to journey and figure things out for themselves. You know, because if you're trying to control their journey and you're trying to always shame them and criticize them, that's how you lose them. So, for all those out there who are struggling with family estrangement, I definitely hear you. You're not alone. I definitely encourage you to really double down on loving yourself, caring about yourself, and doing things that promote health and promote just well-being. Just promote your comeuppance. Everything that makes you feel good, that's healthy for your mind, body, soul, and your spirit. Do those things. And love on yourself, and also go where the love is, go where the support is, go with those people who actually see into you and want to see more of you, you know, who really, really feel good to your spirit. Go and tap into those energies, because the rest of these people out here that call themselves family, they don't know the definition. Sometimes a stranger will be more reliable, more dependable, and more loving than your own blood. And that to me is really, really sad. But it's the truth. And the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you can actually take steps necessary to make yourself feel and love better. You know, like me personally, those who have distanced themselves from me, family that have moved on, I don't hate them. I love them still. I realize that they are on their own journey. And so I leave them and I leave space for their journey. But while I leave space, I also recognize that I have a journey too. And I'm respecting my journey. I'm honoring my journey and my purpose. And that's what's important to me. So I hope this video was helpful. This has been Lewis Speaks 2021, wishing everybody a safe, and wonderful life. Peace.